Let me ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with it. The life you're living right now, is it yours? Or are you quietly living out somebody else's dream? A path your parents sold you, society sold you, a system that profits off you staying exactly where you are. Most guys never even ask. That's the real tragedy, fellas. Here's the bad news. Nobody wants to say out loud. That safe, linear, battle-tested path, get good grades, get a good job, work 40 years, retire comfortable, it's not guaranteed anymore. It's broken. And worse, even if it works, it might leave you miserable. We grew up being promised a deal that quietly stopped existing. Nobody sent a memo. So I want to make a weird argument. Right now, in 2026, with the world feeling like it's on fire around us, this might be the best moment in your life to take a real risk. Not work yourself to death risk, not hustle bro nonsense. I mean, building a life that's actually worth living before you run out of time to even chase it. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how, using the worst year economically I can remember, plus my own story broke and stuck 12 months ago, completely different life today. No fluff, no magic, just the honest playbook, the mindset shifts, and the one small move you can make this week. Stick with me, because the last point hits hardest. First, let's be honest about where we actually are. The economy's a mess. Inflation's quietly eating your paycheck every single month. Housing, unaffordable for most guys our age. A college degree, the golden ticket they swore by, guarantees you basically nothing now. The traditional path didn't slow down, it broke, and pretending otherwise just keeps you frozen in place. I know how that sounds. Depressing. A lot of guys hear it and spiral. Sit there wondering why the world's so unfair, why everything feels impossible, why playing by the rules stopped working. I get it, I really do. But spiraling is a choice too, and it's the most expensive one. Despair feels like thinking. It's actually just standing still. So here's my flip on it. If the world's already burning, why not use the fire? If the safe path doesn't deliver anymore, why are you still white-knuckling it? If playing by the rules doesn't get you the promised outcome, then the rules aren't sacred. They're just a habit. And habits, fellas, are the easiest thing in the world to break once you decide to. Now, I'm not telling you to be reckless. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow with no plan and post a cringe goodbye video. I'm saying something subtler and scarier. The risk of staying exactly where you are might already be higher than the risk of trying something new. Standing still isn't safe. It just feels safe because nothing's moving. Let me show you what I mean with my own life, because I hate advice from people who won't show their cards. April 2025, exactly 1 year ago, I was making $22 an hour, living with my mom in New Jersey, a place I never really felt like mine. 0 subscribers, 0 income online, 0 community, just grinding a job that paid little and fed me nothing. Fast forward to April 2026. I make $127,000 a year as a software engineer, over 39,000 subscribers, 4,000 people in a Discord community, pulled $2,800 online last month alone on top of the day job, moved to New York City, and I'm planning to leave the country entirely once my net worth hits the number I want. Now hear me clearly, I'm not special. Some of it was privilege, some was luck, I won't pretend otherwise, that'd be a lie. But most of it came down to one boring word: action. I could have stayed comfortable in Jersey, applied to nothing, skipped college, kept that 22 an hour job, never started this channel, never put myself out there, and I'd be in the exact same spot, wondering. And look, I know these are arbitrary numbers, subscribers don't matter to everyone, and honestly they shouldn't. Money doesn't define success, and it shouldn't define yours. Moving cities isn't everyone's dream, but these were mine. I said them, I named them out loud, and I hit them not because I'm gifted, but because I was willing to risk being wrong. That's the whole secret. Here's a belief most people will fight me on. If you grow up somewhere and choose to stay there your whole life, you probably won't grow as much as you could have. I'm not saying your hometown is wrong. I'm saying I personally value change. I value getting dropped into uncomfortable rooms where I'm forced to adapt or sink. Comfort is cozy. It's also where potential goes quietly to die. Last August I moved from New Jersey to New York City. And honestly, I don't fully vibe with New York either. But here's the thing. At least now I know that. I would have spent my whole life wondering what living in a big city felt like. Instead I tried it, learned it wasn't my place, and that answer alone was worth the entire move. Knowing beats wondering every time. That's the part nobody tells you. The grass isn't always greener. Sometimes you move, you chase the thing, and you find out it wasn't it, and that's not failure, that's information. My next move is out of New York, eventually out of the country, somewhere I can live well on less and own my time completely. Will the first love it? No clue. But I'll never know unless I go. Because staying comfortable means you never find out what you actually want, you just wonder about it, quietly in the background until one day you're too old to do anything about it. I'm 25, I know that's young, but I've already been working 10 years, and I refuse to spend another 30 grinding away just to maybe enjoy life at the very end. That math doesn't work for me. There's this meme going around where 30-year-olds call themselves 30-teen, like they still feel 18, still feel young, still think they've got all the time in the world. Funny meme, brutal trap, because you feel young, and then suddenly you're not. And by the time you clock how fast it moved, you've already burned years sitting still and calling it patience. I can already feel it happening to me. I remember starting this channel like it was last month. It's been over 7 months. 7. And it only speeds up from here. When you're a kid, summer feels endless. As an adult, summer vanishes in a blink. You think you've got time. You tell yourself you'll chase the dream later. After you save more, figure it out, get the timing right. But the timing is never perfect. There's always one more reason to wait. A little more savings, a little more certainty, a little more courage. You keep promising yourself you'll have next quarter. And here's the cruel part. Later becomes never. Not dramatically, just quietly. One postponed week at a time. Until the dream is something you used to talk about instead of something you're building. And I need to tell you something that's been sitting heavy on me lately. I have a mentor, someone I looked up to, someone who took a chance on me, who genuinely helped shape who I am today. I should say had, because they were just told they have 3 years left. 1 good year. Not a lifestyle thing, not a choice, a disease that came out of nowhere and is taking over their life. And that wrecked me, because they did everything right, built a successful life, helped people, made a real impact, and now their time's getting cut short through no fault of their own. Just life being indifferent. It slammed something into me I'd been politely ignoring. You are not guaranteed tomorrow, not next year, not retirement. The average lifespan isn't average, and somebody's always on the wrong side of it. Some people live to 90, some die at 35. You genuinely don't know which one you are. So why are you living like the clock is infinite? Why are you parking your dreams in storage, waiting for a perfect moment that may simply never arrive? You feel like the main character in your story, sure, but nobody guaranteed you a long story. Some of them end early. That's the part we hate. Now let me be crystal clear, because this gets misread constantly. This is not a hustle culture video. I'm not telling you to work 100-hour weeks, grind yourself into dust, or sacrifice your health and relationships on the altar of money. I'm actually arguing the opposite. The point isn't to add more grind. It's to stop wasting the hours you're already throwing away on stuff that means nothing. Like, be honest, stop scrolling TikTok 4 hours a day and calling it relaxing. You won't remember a single one of those videos. They're not memories. They're not rest. They're just time leaving your account with no receipt. Real rest recharges you. The doom scroll just numbs you. There's a difference, and your brain knows it even when you pretend it doesn't. Hello, wasted evening, my old friend. Spend that time on things that actually matter. Your loved ones, your real friends, the people who'll be at your funeral, not your follower count. But, and this is the other edge, also stop settling for a life that quietly makes you miserable just because it's safe. Comfortable misery is still misery. It just comes with a steady paycheck and a really convincing excuse to never change anything. So here's the move. If you hate your job, you don't quit tomorrow. You start building an exit plan. Number 1 rule, an exit, not a tantrum. A plan gives you nerve, a resignation never will. Start saving a runway. Start learning the skill. Start a side thing at night. The goal is to make leaving a decision you control, not a desperate leap you're forced into later. Number 2, if you hate where you live, start researching where you actually want to be, not someday. This week, open the map, run the cost of living, read about the place, message somebody who lives there. You'd be shocked how a vague misery turns into a concrete plan the second it has an address. A dream with a destination is just a project, and projects you can actually start. Number 3, if you've got a dream you've been ignoring, take 1 step toward it. That's it. You don't have to burn your life down. You don't have to bet a house. You just have to start moving, even if it's small. Even 1 hour a week, aimed at something that genuinely matters to you. Because momentum is real, and the hardest rep is always the first one. Because here's what doesn't work. And I learned this the slow, embarrassing way. Sitting still and hoping things magically improve doesn't work. Complaining about how unfair the world is feels great, accomplishes nothing. Waiting for the perfect moment never pays out. Only one thing reliably works: action. Consistency stacked over time. That's the entire formula. And it's annoying precisely because it's that simple and that boring. And let me paint the alternative, the one nobody likes picturing. 10 years from now, you wake up in the exact same place, same job, same city, same routine, same regrets, word for word. Except now you're 10 years older, and that window to make a big change has quietly narrowed. The door doesn't slam shut, fellas. It just slowly closes, while you keep telling yourself you'll walk through it later. You'll look back and realize you spent an entire decade thinking about the life you wanted instead of building it. And that one stings, because thinking feels productive. It feels like progress. It's the most comfortable form of doing nothing ever invented. You can plan, research, and dream forever, and have literally nothing to show for it. Movement is the only thing that ever turns the thought into a life. I see guys in their 40s and 50s who are flat out miserable, hate their jobs, wish they'd traveled, wish they'd taken more swings, built something that was actually theirs. And you know the exact line every single one of them says? I wish I'd done it when I was younger. Every time. Word for word. Like they all read the same sad script and only realized it on the last page. And why didn't they? Same reasons you're using right now. They were scared. It wasn't the right time. They were waiting for permission from a boss, a parent, the universe. That was never ever coming. Nobody hands you that permission slip, fellas. There's no adult in the room who's going to tap you and say go. You have to write the slip yourself and sign it. So do not become that person. Do not wake up a decade from now, carrying the identical regrets you've got today, just heavier. Let that future version of you be the warning, not the destination. Because here's the truth that should genuinely rattle you when you really let it land. You are alive right now. And do you have any idea how absurd, how statistically insane that actually is? Think about it for real. Billions of years of evolution, thousands of generations who survived just long enough, millions of coincidences that had to line up perfectly for you, specifically to exist and be sitting here. The odds are so low they basically round to impossible. You won a lottery nobody can comprehend. And the way most of us spend it, scrolling, consuming, waiting. It's almost offensive when you say it out loud. You've got this one life, one shot, and you're spending it on things you don't even care about. Because somebody somewhere told you what you're supposed to be doing. That's what gets me. It's not that life is hard. Life's always been hard. It's that so many guys are weirdly okay, just sitting in a life they never chose, never questioned, never tried to redesign. Comfortable and quietly checked out. Me? I can't do it. I genuinely can't function if I'm not building something I think is worth living for, something I'm proud of, something that scares me a little. Because that's where the good stuff lives, right past the fear. That's what turns a life into a story, and not just a story, a good one. The kind future you actually want to tell instead of explain away. And no matter what situation you're in right this second, broke, stuck, lost, behind, you can make something of it. You genuinely have that power. That's not a motivational poster line. It's just true. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The power only counts if you actually use it. Potential you never spent isn't an asset. It's just a really polite way of describing regret in advance. So I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to move across the planet tomorrow. I want you to do something way smaller and way more powerful. Picture the life you actually want, not the one you're supposed to want. The one you'd build if nobody was judging, if money wasn't the issue, if fear wasn't sitting on your chest. What does that life genuinely look like? Really see it. The work you do, where you'd wake up, who'd be around you, how your average Tuesday would feel. Most guys have never let themselves picture it clearly, because picturing it makes the gap obvious, and the gap is uncomfortable. But you can't move toward the target you refuse to look at. So look at it. Get specific. Specific is the first quiet act of courage. Then ask the only question that matters this week. What's one thing I can do? Just one. To move a little closer to that life. Not a massive overhaul. Not a dramatic life-burning reinvention. One additional habit. One small action you can actually fit into the next 7 days without rearranging your entire existence. Small enough to be impossible to talk yourself out of. That's the whole point. And it can be tiny. Is it starting a side project tonight? Researching that new city? Uploading your first ever video, shaky voice and all? Reaching out to someone you've dreamed of working with? Maybe it's finally booking the therapist, writing the first page of the book, sending the email you've been dodging for months. The size doesn't matter. The starting does. Done badly beats planned perfectly. Always. One thing this week, then you do it again next week, then again the week after that. That's the entire engine. Because this is how a life worth living actually gets built. Not in one heroic leap, but one decision at a time, one action at a time, one ordinary week at a time. And quietly, almost invisibly, those small reps compound into something you won't recognize in a year. That word compound is the one I want stuck in your head. Money compounds, sure. But so do skills, so do reps, so do tiny brave choices. The guy who sends one scary email a week for a year sent 52 of them. The guy waiting for motivation sent 0. Same year. Same 24 hours a day. Wildly different lives. The gap between them was just showing up. And that compounding gap is exactly why your 20s and early 30s matter so much. It's not that the decisions are individually huge. It's that they've got the most time to multiply. A small good habit at 25 has decades to snowball. The same habit started at 45 is still great, but it's working with way less runway. Time is the multiplier. And right now, you're holding the most of it. So let me say it the way it lives in my head. The world's already burning, so use the fire to forge something better for yourself. I transformed my life in a single year. You can too. Maybe it takes you longer, maybe shorter. Honestly, doesn't matter. And comparing your timeline to mine is a trap. What matters is one thing and one thing only, that you actually start. And start for the right reason. Not to impress people who aren't thinking about you. Not to win some status game society invented. Build something that genuinely makes you happy for yourself, full stop. The day you stop outsourcing your goals to other people's expectations is the day this whole thing finally clicks. Your life, your design, your call. That's not selfish. That's just being awake to your own existence. I know change is scary. I know the comfortable path whispers sweet, reasonable things. Wait a bit, be sensible. You can always do it later. That voice isn't evil. It's just trying to keep you safe in a world that no longer rewards staying put. You don't have to silence it. You just have to stop letting it drive. Acknowledge the fear, then take the small step anyway. Both can be true, because the version of you a decade from now is being built right now by the boring choices you're making this week. Every scroll, every skipped rep, every postponed dream, and every email sent, every page written, every uncomfortable yes, it's all going somewhere. You're always building someone. The only question is whether it's the guy you'd be proud to become or the one stuck repeating, I wish I had. So choose him on purpose. Stop drifting into a default future you never actually picked. Sit down, see the life you want, pick the one small thing, and do it before this week is over. Not because some guy narrating over a video told you to, but because you finally genuinely got tired of wondering what if. That exhaustion with wondering, that's the most useful feeling you'll ever have. Use it. Let's bring it home. Your 20s and 30s are messy, confusing, often broke, occasionally humiliating, and absolutely incredible. They set your trajectory more than any other decade you'll ever live. Not because every choice is dramatic, but because they all compound quietly into a gap that gets wider every single year between the guys who took it seriously and the ones who kept telling themselves later. Pick your side now. And listen, I don't have it all figured out either. I told you, I'm not even sure New York's my place, and I'm already plotting the next move. That's not failure, that's the whole game. You're allowed to be unfinished. You're allowed to chase learn it wasn't it, and adjust. The point was never arriving perfectly. The point is becoming someone who keeps moving instead of someone who quietly settles. If you're actually ready to take action, and I mean ready, not just nodding along, come join the Discord, links in the description. We've got over 4,000 people in there documenting their journeys, taking the risks, building lives they're genuinely proud of. There's something about being surrounded by people who are also moving that makes your own movement feel inevitable instead of impossible. Don't do this alone, fellas. And if you want to go deeper, there's Project Early Exit, where we build a YouTube channel to fund the life you actually want. Workshops, Q&As, daily access to me, the whole thing. Links also in the description. But honestly, the tools matter less than the decision. Whatever you use, just use something. The guys who win aren't the most talented. They're the ones who stopped waiting and plugged in. So drop it in the comments. What's the one thing you're doing this week to move toward the life you actually want? I read them, and naming it out loud makes it real. If this hit you, like it, subscribe and join the community so the algorithm sends it to the next guy who needs it. Chase your dream. It'll change your life. Keep building, fellas. Your 30s will thank you. Peace out.